It's World Championship weekend. We're here. Tahoe is happening in one day. This is crazy. The whole season is built to this. And so we're coming at you live today with Robert Killian, because it's fitting. Who else would we talk to the day before Robert Killian, the Spartan World Championships, and Robert Killian, first man to win a title there, and now he's going to try to close it out. So today's podcast is brought to you exclusively by Artistic Organics. Head to artisticorganics.com. You can use OBDOM. It'll get you a discount there and a little freebie inside your checkout cart. So go do that and support Benny's Habit. Oh, Benny, before we get into this any deeper, we should do a little bit of stat correction. First of all, in this episode, Rob Killian stated that we have 400 meters of intestines in our stomach. So we just got done, or 100 meters, I think. One of the two he said. Anyways, I just want to correct that for the viewers. It's more like 8 to 9 meters of intestines, but I didn't want to interrupt his flow. That's not a knock on you, Rob. I just want to set the record straight. And Benny also last episode claimed that CBD oil is known to just eradicate dog glaucoma. And I didn't want to.
No, I said
epilepsy. Yeah. So I just want to. I do want to clear the record on that too, because I got a little hate mail from that, and I said, yeah, come on, I'm not gonna totally trash them, but let's just say some statistics here. I did my due diligence, and I found out that that's false.
Okay.
Now,
awesome.
But there are promising studies that are showing that it has benefits, but in no way has anyone reported eradication of epileptic seizures due to it. The only study that I found that could say that with any certainty that it helps showed that they had like 83 dogs they tested, and something like 60% of them showed some amount of reduction in epileptic behavior afterwards. So positive impact, yes. Eradicate epilepsy in dogs? No.
All right. Maybe.
All right. I want to make sure that we're saying truths on this.
Right.
That we're not doing bro science.
I'm glad we're always refining and correcting.
Good.
It's like there's a show called Adam Ruins Everything, and you walk away from each episode thinking you're now woke, and they listen to listener feedback, and then every episode they have a tiny segment where they say, hey, found out that we were off by like 3% on the stat, or hey, we were wrong about this. So that's good. Maybe it was a little bit of an emotional pitch to me because it was my dog that died from epilepsy, and some guys like, my dog's cured of epilepsy, and I was like, oh.
Also, I got a user feedback on a misspeak that I had. Apparently, instead of artisticorganic.com, the first time I did the intro, I said artisticorganics.com.
Oh, beautiful.
Yep.
I think that's just a pervert. Or did you?
I don't know if it's a Freudian slip or what, but so I'm
well, while we're
speaking
here,
dirty.
we should also talk about how it's not actually a gymnastist, it's a gymnast. Robert was like, Ray,
we're not here to make fun. I'm just correcting stats and facts.
I thought that was funny though, but Robert's he doesn't feel like the kind of guy I can just like shoot a little funny thing out. I feel like it'll just be met with a wall of. He's a very straightforward, firm fellow, so I was just like, I'm gonna steer clear of that.
All right.
Yeah, but by the way, a correction for Brakken, it does not actually get you a freebie. Using OBDOM at artisticorganics.com, it only gets you 15% off of your whatever product you have.
I thought they were getting one bonus nugget in there when they ordered, or was that a one-time deal?
Well, originally it was they get a free pain cream sample. Now
no more pain cream.
Now we just switched it to an overall 15% off. Everybody who goes in physically to the location here in Frisco, thank you for mentioning me. I get hilarious videos all the time from the girls behind the checkout counter because I'm friends with them. So every time you go in there, say where you heard it, give them a high five. They'll probably shoot a little Instagram video and tag us and stuff. You'll get famous. Who knows? Because we're super famous. But what I want to talk about is the Obstacle Dominator training guide that, and clear up a couple of things. I work the contact forms. So when you submit and you have a problem, it goes to me, mofo, so watch your language. This is a digital guide. It's a PDF document. It's with links and online stuff like that. None of it's physical. There's no book that gets sent to you. I know the geniuses at the Obstacle Dominator back office, design office, they make it look like it's a package of DVDs or a book. It's not. It's a PDF book, okay? And hey, we're not trying to be deceptive. Somebody was like, I felt like this is intentionally deceptive. I was like, whoa, no, so sorry. So we went on there and we changed some verbiage, but Obstacle Dominator.
I'll print it. Tell you what, whoever that is, contact me. I'll print it off. I'll 3-hole punch it. I'll slap it on a binder. I'll hand draw a cover for you, and I'll write a cliffhanger on the back of it to get you all psyched to read it. Promise you, I will do that for you, and I'll send it to you.
Little autograph. He'll ask you to pay for it. Brakken's a cheapo though, so you'll
have just Venmo me. We're fine.
Yeah. But guys, Train Like the Pros is what Brakken and I have written. It's a training guide that has, if you're an athlete who has already got a good handle on training, you understand your numbers, you know your 5K times, or even if you don't, you know your general fitness, and you just want to plug into a program that will tell you every day, look, do this and fit it to, your fitness level. That's what it is. It's not for somebody who's looking for like a full-time coach or anything. If you are, Brakken has a coaching program. You can train with me at entcamp.com. Robert has a training program. There's so many options to choose from. But if that's not what you're looking for, go to obstacledominator.com. You can purchase the Train Like the Pros program, which is like $50 or like $49. Use code OBDOM, OBDOM VIP, gets you 20% off that. Or you can use the same code to get 20% off of the package, which is our new guide and the original unupdated. It's the original one, so don't get it if you already have it. Obstacle Dominator like 2.0, but we're calling it Obstacle Dominator 3.0 because it's with our new guide. Sorry, a lot of dumb technicalities. Hopefully saving my ass from being on the computer and responding to all you freaking people who just don't read really clearly what's going on. Anyways, that was our oh, by the way, Robert talked about CBD there at the end, and he just said, Brakken, this might change your mind. I don't know, but if he is going after the win at the Spartan World Championships and he's on the podium constantly with Spartan and he gets drug tested constantly by the military and he's taking a CBD product, it just goes in, hand in hand with what I was talking about. And that one, their testing is not even testing for it. Second, I don't even know if they know how to test for trace amounts of different cannabinoids. Obviously they can test for THC.
Benny, if all your friends jumped off a bridge, would you do it too?
If the friend who had a parachute and had done it 1,000 times and successfully survived it told me I'd be okay, yeah, I probably would too.
Well, not jumping off a bridge, Benny.
All right. Well, Robert says he uses CBD, but Brakken won't.
That's right. Well, I want my hair to fall out.
Brakken's using CBD. He's just not using CBD oil. So, anyways.
What? All right, guys. Put the lotion on the body? Put the lotion
in the basket. All right.
Yep.
I actually don't know where that's from. All right, guys. Episode 26 with Robert Killian. Anybody out of Tahoe, have fun. Brakken's going to be there. I'm not. Feel free to say hi to Brakken. Pinch his butt while he's out on the course. Have a good time.
Good luck finding it. I have small little cheeks.
Small little cheeks, but big bicep guns. Good luck freaking on Saturday, dude, for the Ultra Beast. And I'll be tuning in live to watch you guys.
Thank you. I'll see you later, big guy. Dive in.
Welcome to the ObstacleDominator.com podcast featuring Benny Gifford and Brakken Crocker. Whether you want to dominate your next obstacle race or just get started in obstacle racing, you're about to discover every tactic you need to know, from gear to training to nutrition. Get the latest tips from the trenches, get your questions answered, and show up at your next obstacle race ready to dominate. And now, here's Beni and Brakken.
Man, I went pretty hard last week. I went up to Twin Lakes and did Albert 3 times and went around Twin Lakes a lot, just high altitude. And the last day, Sunday, when I was up there, it was 25 at the bottom. So it was probably like 22 at the top. And it just, how that first like winter sub freezing temperature, you like burn your lungs.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got that it's better now. It's getting better every day.
Did you run it hard at that day?
Yeah, no, I did. Atkins ran it last year. Him and Lindsay went up there for a while, and he did 250. I did it the first day. I got up there in 244, and I went 218 Sunday.
Jeez.
I was just hammering the downhill. It was a lot colder too, though, for a morning start. And when I did it, the 244 was like rainy and windy. It's kind of like bad conditions.
Is it Tahoe terrain like?
Yes. A little bit steeper downhill on this one section. Right when you like get to there's like a 2.5 mile, like pretty like 2,000 feet of gain to the summit. but the 4 miles below that are just like, you can just open up, like it's single track and just really like long cuts, so you can just get some like speed going. It's a lot of
So
fun.
1 week out from World Championship, you ran an equivalent duration workout.
Yeah, and so it's kind of funny. I've been looking at, obviously I track my stats. In 2015, I was like, what was I doing like the week before,
Mhm.
So I actually did the incline on Friday and like went up to bar camp, and then Monday I did Mount Sinatus
Mhm.
in Boulder. So I was like, well, I was, doing big workouts the weekend before, but it obviously at a lot less intense, I guess, intensity than I normally would. But I don't know, man. I just felt good, and it was one of those perfect condition days. And when you feel good, you got to send it. Like that's the thing. Like get the most out of that workout, even if I'm a little bit, sore today or yesterday. It'll pass, and we have that extra day of rest now that the race is on Sunday. So yeah, I think I'll be fine, man. And to be honest, like Tahoe, I mean, it's hit or miss. It's for the weather and for everything, and I don't want to taper too much because I really want to win Greece. Like I want to win the trifecta. Like I'm really good at back races. Like Tahoe is the biggest event out there, and I am preparing for it. But in the back of my mind, I have Greece. I don't know if I'll ever go back there. I want to take advantage of that opportunity. I've done Tahoe 4 times. I've won it. I've gotten third 3 times. So yeah, it would be like a dream to, be the final, to win the first race in Tahoe and win the last one in the same order that all the other world championships won it.
So Robert, I
But
assume
yeah,
that every year that you come back to Tahoe where you didn't win it after your first win, I imagine there's something that you are specifically working on that you thought maybe was the hole in my race, or that was where I could have made up ground. What is it this year that you're coming into it that you've been focused on?
well, the competition changes a little bit every year. In years past, I was always able to kind of use Cody to get out in front of a lot of guys. We actually talked about it before the race. We'd work together and as much as we could, and just help separate ourselves so that we can guarantee a podium spot. Without him there this year, it kind of changes up my game plan. And also, Atkins just did Eco Challenge, but that doesn't mean anything. That dude, he could do any race anytime and still come back, the next weekend fresh and ready to rock. So everyone's like, oh, but Atkins isn't going to be there. I'm like,
Yeah, he's proven it time and time again.
Yeah.
Remember that year in Montana? He ran that 50 mile and then won the sprint a week later.
Yeah, I'm like, did you just like start, following OCR? Do you not know Ryan Atkins' background? But anyway,
do you think
so
Woods beat that rabbit for you this year?
Yeah, so I was gonna say that a couple years ago, Woods went out pretty hard, and then he wasn't as proficient at obstacles back then, so I didn't really think much of it. But honestly, I think Luna Lima. So I did the Bar Trail Mountain Race with him. Not a lot of people know about it.
Yeah,
and
I tracked that.
I PR'd. So I PR'd by 7 minutes to bar camp. That's massive, dude. Like my fastest time ever was 110, and I went 103. Like, and I was hammering. And Luna Lima beat me by 10 seconds. And I'm like, how do I PR by 7 minutes? Granted, the dude's 23. Because I was looking at stats. I'm like, okay, 2015, he ran 18 minutes slower than me. 2017, he was 15 minutes slower. But I'm like, the dude was 19 and 21, like he's super young. So now everyone's like, oh, he's on drugs or something. I'm like, no, dude, he's 23. He's starting to get into that age where mountain running, and he can still bomb the downhills. I literally have 14 years of pounding on my legs, probably like 100,000 more miles than he does, and I can't descend as fast as him. So in the back of my mind,
running late. His late stage
exactly
mid-20s, that doesn't happen in track, but that's because you've been running since you were 12. He's been running since he was 19.
Yeah, and no, I agree. Like it's a phenomenon. He's made the biggest gains, and it's eye-opening. But I mean, if the weather is bad, I think that's bad for him. I don't think he has the experience that Atkins that I do have at World's Toughest Mudder at Iceland, and that used to be my kryptonite. Obviously, in 2015, 15. I mean, it was my 5th race. I did OCR Worlds and face planted in the water. I was wearing some arm coolers for a company that I thought, you know, I was being nice and helping them out with the sponsorship. Ended up wrecking my arms, freezing cold. I couldn't even get past the rig because I had no dexterity in my hands. So I think I've learned the hard way and kind of turned my weakness into my strengths now, especially here living in Colorado, doing a lot of mountain running in the winter and then getting on my rig and trying to do a lot of the stuff and doing Iceland for 24 hours. That stuff really prepares you equipment wise. Now I know exactly what I need and what works for me. I've got multiple, you know, systems in place depending on whatever the weather does. So I'm pretty much prepared for anything.
Sounds like cool. You got a little bit of the sniffles there. Is that?
Yeah, I was talking about that earlier. I just did that trail on Sunday, and it was really cold. I think it was just that initial 20-something degree weather, and then going to a cross country race, and it was like 80 degrees a couple hours later with a bunch of kids. But yeah, I've got a
big temperature swings tend to get you.
They do, and it's not. I don't feel bad. I went running today. You know, I am coughing up some like green stuff, but I think it'll be gone by Friday, and then I'll have Saturday kind of I just been hydrating a lot and resting. Yeah. I bought a humidifier to bring with me just because I'm like, nice. Yeah, I need to. Yeah. I'm staying on top of it. I don't want to. I'm not going to use it as an excuse, you know.
Yeah, but, slamming a bunch of vitamin C. Hopefully, you know, Robert. I was watching the hard work defined, or the definition of hard work, Ascent Protein, like YouTube series on you.
That's a good video.
Yeah, and by the end of it, if anybody hasn't seen it, go watch it. It's like an 8-video series. They're like short, like 3 to 5 minute videos. It helps treadmill workouts pass by quicker. And by the end of it, I was sitting here thinking, what do you like? What do you not have? You have the family, you have the fitness, you have the, you know, a good financial situation. What are you searching, you know, for more of? That's what I was thinking during the video. I was like, what is the thing that you want more of in your life that maybe you don't have as much as you want?
To be honest, I've kind of been using, or I thought I would use OCR as a stepping stone because I was on active duty for 12 years before I won the World Championships. And it was like, you know, I'm pretty strong in faith, and I believe that you know, everything happens for a reason. So the very last day, my orders ended on September 30th, and I won the World Championship on October 1st. You know, talking to Robert Coble, he's like, "Hey, do you want to do this professionally?" And I'm like, "Is there money in it?" He's like, "What does your social media look like?" I was like, "I don't have social media." He's like, "Well, you're gonna have to get on that, but we'll make it work." So I want to go back into the military eventually. I think, you know, I think that OCR is, if I was, you know, in my 20s or a little bit younger, could be something longevity, but you know, you can't retire from OCR. Like I'm already doing a coaching platform. I'm, you know, helping out athletes kind of get their results a little bit faster. I'm just telling them, you know, what was successful for me. And I think that's where I see myself kind of shifting to eventually, but I just can't maintain OCR, I feel like, for that long. I mean, look at Cody Moat, Amelia, Hobie. I think there's like a 3-year threshold. And my body, honestly, this year, I've just been wrecked. It's like you're fighting off injury after injury. And now that we start the season in February, and I'm going all the way to December doing, you know, Iceland or now Sweden, and Greece in November, but doing the Trail World Championships in December. They're like, "Oh, you get a month off." I was like, "Yeah." So I'm going to take off 4 weeks and then show up for an NBC Championship Series with 0 miles. I was like, "No, we don't have an off season." And we've seen a lot of top athletes this year get injured. So I'm kind of trying to figure out that balance. I can't keep, you know, performing for a full year and expect to win races. So that's why I kind of took a step back this year, and I'm like, hey, really just, you know, train through a lot of these races, or don't even train at all. Just show up. And I had to take some time off. So you could clearly see it in the results. I didn't do as well at some of the events, but I needed that break. And now I feel like I'm on the, you know, peaking period that I usually get into right around Tahoe and Greece and all that. So the championship season, I've been trying to take more of the John Albon approach, you know, like he does races that he likes and he wants to do, and he just shows up and wins because he doesn't destroy his body. He's smart about it. And I give him kudos. I don't know if he does that on purpose, and I'm not trying to, you know, insult him by any means, but I think I think it's a good methodology. It works really well for him. So,
You know, Ryan Atkins seems to be the only fellow who just ignores.
dude, yeah. And Atkins he's an anomaly, dude. Like, I don't know the only time I've ever seen him injured is when he was going for that like 150 mile or 500 mile, whatever it was, in like 24 hours, and you got some like blood clot or something.
Yeah, and even then, it wasn't like a.
It was like a week.
Like,
yeah, and then like a week later, he was back to running. I'm like, dude.
You know, that's the career arc, though, that everyone seems to exhibit in this sport. We get into it, like, we come from something else, and we're like, holy crap, you can make money doing this. And the fields are not super deep yet. Like, it's still like, if you're good, you're going to be in the hunt every race. And your first year, you're like, your eyes get wide. And second year, you just race everything in sight. 'Cause you're like, for the first time in my life, sponsors want to talk to me, and social media like takes off, and I get podium bonuses. Like I can provide for my family for like a whole year off just racing. And then year 2 and 3, you just burn the candle at both ends. And by the end of year 3, you're trashed. And like,
yeah, no, I feel it.
Everyone goes through that. And you're at the arc now that Cody and Hobie arrived at when they won their second world titles. Where
so
screw the regular season. Let's arrive when it counts.
I'm hoping that's what happens. I mean, it's been a challenge, but I feel like, you know, I've been more focused these past 2 months, and everyone's like, oh, you have to train for a whole year. I was like, honestly, like, you know, like you're saying, we have a long background. We have talent. You really only need about 8, you know, ideal 12 to 16 weeks. But if you've been training, you know, throughout the year, a good, you know, 8 weeks will put you where you want to be. That's an ideal, you know, cycle. So I've been really hitting it hard for about 8 weeks. I trained through Austria. I went into Austria like already 50 miles for that week. And then we ran like another 15 in the blind. They don't tell you any obstacles. We did a 1.1 mile sandbag carry with 500 feet of elevation gain. It was just treacherous. But that's why I do that race, because honestly, like, nothing against Tahoe. It just makes Tahoe feel easy for me because it's so hard and it's so challenging. Now we have the cold to face and the elevation for a lot of people. I know that's one of the things that, you know, a lot of people complain about. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. Anything can happen.
So you touched upon this earlier. You started talking about Johnny already. And I feel like we're at the point in the sport where you don't look at people and say, well, this person can't X, Y, or Z, because that doesn't exist. Like for a while, Ryan couldn't do obstacles, you know, and Ryan Atkins wouldn't go out hard enough at championships to be in the mix at the end. Or maybe not wouldn't. Maybe altitude held him back the first climb. And John Albon couldn't run at altitude, and, you know, whatever it was, Cody couldn't come out of the swim without cramping.
Nope.
It was always, there was somebody that couldn't do something. Lindsay couldn't hit a spear and couldn't, but now there's not couldn'ts anymore.
No, it's like way more consistent.
It's matching up, where can I take little advantages? And so when you look at the top people, you know, the Johnnies, Albon, Atkins, even guys like a little further back that might have a chance to shock people, Kent, Woods, you know, Veerman, the guy, Forrest, you know, so those guys, when you look at those top 5 or 6 guys, I want you to play analyst, break down, like, if you win this, where did it happen? Like, where did you beat Johnny? Where did you beat Albon? Where are you going to take it? Now, this is not going to air until the weekend. So, like, this isn't giving away the farm. Where did you?
So, honestly, I think that's one of the advantages I do have, because I still do race all the time. And I get to see, you know, throughout the season, like, what my competition is doing. If they're getting better, they're getting worse, where I'm seeing gains. And I'm always taking that, you know, into consideration, especially when we ran in Utah, as I was feeling pretty good that day, had a really good ascent. But like you were saying, I let Atkins stay within striking distance. Luna Lima just came out of nowhere as soon as we started descending. And I honestly tried to stay with those guys. And I thought I was going to pull a hamstring and break an ankle within 100 meters. I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to send it. I was like, we'll see what happens. And I just couldn't stay with them. It just blew my mind how fast they were going. And then eventually Veerman caught up with me, and then we started descending together. He's improved his descending as well. So I think the way I see it panning out, the amount of downhill work that I've been doing, to be honest, I think I've been trying to match, you know, Atkins, Albon, because that's where I've lost the race. If you look at every Tahoe, I'm leading the race through at least 8 to 10 miles. Like, there's nowhere, and I try to go out hard, and I mean, I'm a good climber, but I always lose in the descending. So I've been practicing a lot of descending, and honestly, I feel like my climbing has gone downhill a little bit. So I'm like, oh, I've given up some
Didn't you have that
time.
happen like 2 years ago too?
Yeah, and I'm like, I gave away a little bit on the climbing to gain on the downhill, but it ends up being like
Yeah.
all kind of evened out in the wash. So I really think this year I've had to go back to trail running a lot and more interval workouts because Spartan has, in my opinion, gone away from equalizing the races. Because of the integration of trail race, there's a lot of overlap and on the course so that they can put two courses in one venue. And in my opinion, I believe that takes away from what Spartan race used to be, that, you know, bushwhacking or like really brutal, rugged terrain. You now have the buckets on your shoulder. You now have single sandbag carries that aren't double sandbag carries. And I'll throw it out there. They still haven't fixed the problem with standardization. I lost the second race in Utah on Sunday to Atkins because his bucket was half full. He even told me it's not his fault. I don't blame him at all. It's just, it's frustrating. And the same thing happened to me last year. Of course, y'all know about the sandbag, but look at West Virginia this year. Same thing exact happened to Lindsay. Same thing happened to who was in second place? Mark Batteries. That dude made up like 3 minutes on Atkins. It was all the way into second place.
Yeah.
And everyone's asking why. And I'm like, I was there. I saw the sandbag. Spartan deleted the videos off Instagram. But
Really?
it's
So
no,
clear
it's
on the
frustrating,
Facebook.
man.
If you want to filter through Facebook live coverage, it's extremely
Yeah.
clear. I watched it through. It's right there.
And it's just,
you're
it's
right.
one of those things, man. It's not their fault, but we get slammed as athletes for it, you know, and it's not like it's the first time. It's the second, it's the third time. And some rules have been enforced. We've seen Woods get slammed. So I'm wondering, like, how hard is it to put 10 sandbags together with a piece of tape on them that say elite, or fill 10 buckets? I mean, no one's going to sit in 11th place like, oh, I'm going to get the light bucket and catch everybody. The top 10 guys are who matters.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, getting back to your question, panning out to, I don't know how I'm going to beat those guys because I used to beat Albon in the double sandbag carry. He would get wrecked, like wrecked. I would beat him by minutes. Same thing with on-hill Quintero. A lot of those faster runner guys, they don't want to practice the sandbag. The tire flip used to get Woods and Ape Hanger, and even Olympus got, and Twister used to be Kent's kryptonite. But like you said, there's nothing really out there that people are failing anymore. So possibly the Yokohama tire flip, but even I had trouble with that last year.
Yeah.
One of the big things that people don't think about, and that I'm actually kind of looking forward to this year because everyone's racing on Saturday, is if you go through Twister, Ape Hanger, or monkey bars first, there's oxidation that forms on that aluminum, and you get this black residue all over your hands, and it actually makes your hands pretty slippery. So like my solution is I usually get water and wipe it off, or I wipe it on my headband, or, you know, get sweat from my body. And I just didn't think about, oh, the tire flip's next, you know? And that was just it wasn't a rookie mistake. It was just, I wanted to get the black stuff off my hands. So I think this year with people going through those obstacles first, maybe I won't have, you know, possibly that issue, or I don't know. I mean, like you said, at the end of the day, yeah, exactly. It could be freezing cold. It could be, I think it's going to be faster conditions because a lot of the guys are going to trample down the technical rocks and kick them over and move them out the way. I think the trails are going to be wide open with everyone racing on Saturday. I think it's going to be a fast race. And, you know, it all comes down sometimes to the spear throw. You never know. Like, that's the thing about obstacle course racing and that I love. I could try to make a prediction, but honestly, the only prediction that I've ever had come full fruition was last year in West Virginia. I planned that race to a T in the cabin before it happened. Go out hard with Woods, drop him, and then just, like, you know, hammer that second climb because the course profile was spot on. This year, I looked at the course profile and there was 1,200 more feet of gain than we did. So I was like waiting for this like second mountain to come up, and I'm like, we get out of the swim and I'm like, oh snap, like this mountain's not coming. I need to turn it on. And I didn't have enough ground. Like I just didn't have enough time to catch guys because it was flat, fast trail running. And I cannot beat Woods, even Atkins, and Kempson on flat, fast, just trail running. So that was a big mistake on my part. I was really frustrated. So now another lesson learned, you can't, always game plan or pregame off of the course map that Spartan puts out, because the profile might not be correct. And
good news this year is you'll know.
Yeah, exactly. Because everyone can run
Yeah.
on Saturday, and you could just look at Strava and
Hey guys, just wanted to interrupt me and my mystically bojangly danglies to let you guys know about the best damn recovery product on the planet. We're talking about CBD, and even the guy we're interviewing right now, Robert Killian, Mr. Spartan World Champion, Army Ranger, Army's fittest athlete. He gets drug tested by the military all the time, never pops positive. Guys, we're less than a couple days. We're 1 day away from the Spartan World Championships, and he's taking CBD. He's not worried. So Brakken, why don't you jump on the bandwagon, take a straw out of Robert's hat? I don't know why I'm saying this. He's already using the Artistic Organics 1,000 milligram pain cream. That's what I use. It's saving my booty. I primarily use their 700 milligram sublingual tincture, and it's freaking fantastic. Makes you sleep, makes you healthy, helps you recover quicker. It's amazing. I also use their disgustingly flavored perp syrup when I really need a really good night's sleep. This is specifically a sleep supplement, so only take that when you're ready to get knocked out. Guys, go to artisticorganics.com. Use the discount code OBDOM, OBDOM. And that'll get you 15% off of any of these wonderful products or anything you want. And if you make a purchase, message me personally or Brakken or the Obstacle Dominator Instagram account, and we're going to start featuring you guys on our social media and on the podcast. How much better can that get? You guys get a discount, you get fantastic, high-quality products, and you get famous. I mean, what else can we do for you? Back to the show. You said something in there about when Atkins just blew past you. And I was thinking about how cool it is that in our sport, even amongst the top, like Johnny will have a race where he just crushes everyone. He looks like if that were to be the same performance moving forward, no one could touch him. But then the next race, somebody else has some ridiculous stomping performance. So do you think that's more an aspect or a factor of the fact that the field is not so refined that there are still really good days and really bad days that show a big difference, whereas maybe in other sports, good days and bad days are really still only a slight difference?
Yeah, and I think another thing that contributes to that is what venue we're racing at. I think some guys are better at mountain running, or maybe, he didn't do well in Seattle because he fell off monkey bars. There was a lot of rain and stuff, and it was quite slippery. So I really think the venue matters, and you see that more consistently than anything else, whereas a 5K is a 5K is a 5K, or a marathon is pretty much a marathon. Anywhere you go, you're going to have pretty similar dudes running similar times because there's no other variables. Yeah. So I think with Spartan racing, where the obstacles are located, how heavy the carries are, honestly, like Steve Hammond knows us well enough that he can design a course where it could be really close, or he could favor, one person over someone else. I think he knows us all as well enough as athletes, but a lot of times Spartan gives him kickback about the way they're set up, or he doesn't always design the course exactly. Someone does it on Google Maps, he gets a map and he goes out and kind of eyeballs stuff. But like, for example, Woody, I've never lost a course that Woody's put together for some reason. I don't know why. Like, he just makes us run through the most brutal, rugged terrain. He puts the obstacles in good places. So, and I've never talked to him.
Is he the one that designed the Fort Carson race?
No, that was those guys are awesome though. I forgot his name who did that one, but he did Aspen, he did Palmerton. He does a lot of East Coast venues, and they're pretty brutal. Yeah, but he puts so much time and effort into going out and making sure, all the tape is perfectly right, and he's there just super early and super late, and he really puts a lot of effort in, I feel like. But
the course design, I think, will determine who wins. We can't quantify the championship moment, right? Pressure gets to people. There are so many missed spears at the top of that mountain, and it's not just the water. Pressure at championship gets to people. But I think the single biggest factor that will determine who wins is the course design, how long they make the descents. If they break descents up and you descend and do something, and descend and do something, descend, do obstacles, descend, or if you have 4 miles of descending, that determines right there.
Oh yeah,
who wins the
race. If there's nothing to break it up, that's what I was so frustrated about last year. I was like, at the top, I was like, okay, I got Olympus, And I'm like, what is between here and the finish? I was like, nothing. Just 2 miles of very fast downhill. And then you've got bender and a pretty easy rig. So I'm like, it's over. You know, and I'm like, I can't catch them. I just need to hold down third and not get injured.
So
And,
I got a question. Do you think that they should be striving for finding the perfect balance of what values each main skill set as possible during the course design? Or do you think that's what speaks to Spartan, kind of like CrossFit, where they just, like, you can't really have a wheelhouse because they just change it up all the time and they don't really tell you? Do you think Spartan is so stuck on the, you know, work hard and, you know, that kind of thing rather than standardization, that they're just always going to change things so you can never just become like the perfect algorithm for this course design?
Possibly, but I don't think there's that much thought process to it. I think the reason they change things to make it easier is insurance. They don't want to get sued. There's a lot of higher ups that don't particularly, you know, want there to be buckets rolling downhill and hurting people, or logs. And I see that. No, I've seen it at races, and it is dangerous. So I think that's.
Have you seen the video of a tire? It's old Spartan days. Just look up.
Yes, North Carolina.
You can see.
I raced there.
The one that are you talking about, the POV shot where it goes right next to, like, a huge tire almost
blasts out of the woods? Yeah.
Insane.
Jesus.
We did a tire flip. You used to have to flip it like 3 or 4 times out and then back, and it was like up on a ridge, and you flipped to the edge, and if you, like, someone had started too far and they flipped and it just went right down the hill.
Oh, dude, that's
blasted
crazy.
Across the single track. At like
insane.
Probably like 40 miles per hour.
That's crazy.
You know what? This is the crazy thing about this is that, like, we're talking right now. If we were talking to Johnny, he would be saying, like, man, I really hope, like, they just stop doing so much, you know, breaking up of descents and sending us sideways. I just want to bomb for 5 miles down that mountain. And then if we were talking to Albon, we'd be saying, like, yeah, I really think it's good that, you know, we get away from altitude races. And you know, everyone we talk to
everyone does have their hits. Yeah, I agree.
And what I think that means is that, and I hope I'm not beating a dead horse. I've talked about this a lot, but it means we can't have the same championship at the same venue every single year, because then we only test one skill.
No, I agree. And this is the last year at Tahoe. So, but I just feel like, in my opinion, and granted, I've only been doing this for 5 years, Spartan has just drastically changed from when I first started. Like, I really used to have to work at the carries, the grip, and maybe that was just because I was new to the sport. But now I feel like it's just not, like, now it's just like, if I can't keep up with the runners, I'm going to lose. The obstacles have no real bearing on the race.
Here's my take on that. Just having been here since 2011, Spartan got progressively harder and less like grassrootsy, and harder and harder and harder. And then the athletes got better and better and better. Like right now, the last race I did, I ran through and thought I would have done 90 burpees here my first year. And yet no one failed anything. However, they have regressed from what the pinnacle of the sport was. The Palmerton, the Killian, the wintergreen courses set a standard for NBC races and for championship races. And a lot of people's introduction to high-level sport was one of those. Like Palmerton was one of your first big races. And Killian was a lot of people's first championship. And that set a crazy, like, pinnacle of the sport that we don't touch anymore. But across the board, start to finish, twister, the rigs have gotten weaker in the last 2 years, but they're still way more difficult than what they initially were.
Right.
I feel like a few things have gotten tamed, which is disappointing, but more than that, everybody is better.
Yeah.
Like, the sport like this, where, like, you just have to be faster. And then suddenly you just have to be better at obstacles. And then now we're just back to the point where you just have to be faster again because everyone's good at obstacles. So either the sport has to make them tougher because they've been the same for 3 or 4 years, or the fast people are just going to run away with it.
Or we could talk about option 3, which no one ever likes to talk about. I think the U.S. Championship Series, and possibly, you know, a separate World Championship Series in itself, should be stadium races. They're the most obstacle dense. They're in very easy spectator can you imagine? Okay, like if they
There's
actually
rumor. Dave
follow.
Watson was on here. Watson he hinted very strongly that they're trying to do it for next year.
Well, think about it. Like, how many obstacles can you actually see in a stadium versus you've seen the ESPN rebroadcast? We're watching people run the whole time. I think I counted 4 obstacles maybe that I saw people doing.
And most of it's power hiking.
Yeah. And
You
I'm
know?
like, dude, if you were in a stadium, you could see 20 obstacles. You could see head-to-head battles. You can see action. Like, and you would never have to like cut. You could almost show the whole race in like
You could
it's only,
drone
like,
the whole
20
thing.
minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the infrastructure's there. Like I said, the obstacle density's there. It's like you don't have to worry about weather sometimes. I guess a lot of the stadiums are open, but I mean, you have AT&T Stadium. You have, I don't know, but then again, that's what I love about Spartan Race is you can do a stadium sprint, or you can go out and focus on ultras or Trifecta World Championships or just the Beast. You can go out and do Death Race. There's so many cups of tea, and maybe that's part of the problem is, trying to blend all that into I mean, I don't think anyone realizes there's probably like 12 people that work in the Spartan headquarters. You know what I mean? I don't even know how they put on the events to the scale that they do. It's doing trail, ultras, beasts, super sprints, almost 70 races within the United States, stadiums. Like, it blows my mind that they're able to do that. Like, kudos to them. But, yeah, I don't know. Like, maybe that's what I do next year is, hey, like I go to something that's more obstacle dense because I have a pretty fast running background, but that's just not my background. Like,
Well, what's
I'm a good
unfortunate is
runner.
Those shorter races, the sprints and the stadiums. My original conclusion with Spartan was until I really developed this aerobic engine, I gotta run the shorter events because the gap is bigger and bigger the longer the race. But then Spartan went with the algorithm they have this year, where sprint are the easy obstacles all the way up.
Right.
And so
then you have the beast mode obstacles.
All right, the rig is just rings.
Rings, yeah.
So
then it comes down to speed. Then it's like sprint. It's like your 2 mile time matters, but
yeah, and your stair running, like a strong stair running guy with a good 5K time is going to be.
He'll get wrecked.
If he's an athlete, he still has to be an athlete, but yeah.
No, for sure. So I don't know. This is a lot of good discussions. I don't know. I think I could talk to you again next year about the same time, and I probably have a different opinion. So that's just kind of where I'm at right now, I guess. And I don't know, maybe, like I said, like that 3-year thing, if I can just bounce back, like it's really frustrating. Like I used to have, I know the potential that I have. I have, mile paces that I should be running, that I used to run, that I know I can run. And now I have to really fight to get to those. Whereas I used to just go out and do them like effortlessly. And I'm like, when is that going to come back? Is it going to come back? Like, what am I doing wrong? Like, I'm doing the same stuff. And it's just, I really think my body needs a long-term rest. Because even though I'm injured, I still train through my injuries. Like, I still go to races. I still have expectations to show up, for my sponsors and for my contracts. And because I want to be there. Like, I want to race. I enjoy it.
So, Roger,
but
this is something new
difficult.
that we're wanting to start doing here, which is with each one of the athletes, it's basically lending clarity to actual athletic terms and how athletic someone actually is. So we're going to start doing like little stat grabs of each athlete. So if you are comfortable, could you share your current, not your best all time, just kind of vaguely where you're at, even if you haven't tested lately, like your a mile time, a 5K time, how many pull-ups you can do, and a deadlift?
Yeah, so don't even ask the deadlift. So I have two. Hold on, I have a.
What are the metrics you base yourself off?
Okay, well, I just have like a 45 and like 210 pounds out there on a heavy fat bar. I don't even know how much weight that is, but I just kind of stick with that because that's what I lift and that's what I do. But yeah, my metrics are more mountain based, I guess. So I have the standard 1,200 feet of gain, over like 2 miles that I do, or the incline is a good one for me. Mm-hmm. And I like to see, round trip incline and just straight up the incline. I think those are more of my metrics than a mile. Like I rarely go out and do a mile for time or even an open 5K. But my fastest 5K in college was 15:03 and then 4:06 mile. But I mean, I do Army PT tests once a year, and I usually run about 950s for my 2 mile, but I've been recently running like 1010s, 1020s,
You
which
ran
isn't,
406 for a full mile?
yeah.
That's flying.
Yeah, I used to do the DMR. So I was the distance relay 1600-meter runner, and we go up to Penn relays.
Mm-hmm.
And when you step on the Penn relays track, you have no option but to run fast.
So we
Like,
ran
they will
Drake
boo you.
Penn.
They will boo you off of the track. Like it's real up there, dude. I'm telling you. Like
we ran at Drake relays,
Yeah.
not Penn, but it was the same thing. You PR by stepping on that track.
Yeah, you're gonna run fast. Like I was running against Alan Webb. Like that dude is he's just crushing, you know.
You outlasted him in sport.
I did. And Florida relays is actually where I ran my fast. It was a night run. I ran 15:03, and I was just cruising. It was funny. I was eating MREs too because I just got back from an FTX. I was like, maybe I should eat MREs more often, but they have so many preservatives in them. I don't know. It was a fluke. But I think if I went out, I still don't know how Woods. He just ran like a 15:05 last weekend or something.
Yeah.
So I was like, Jesus.
Although
like,
realistically, that's a minute 13 off his PR.
Yeah.
He ran 13:50 post collegiately. So
yeah, that's true.
This is maintenance speed for him.
Yeah, I was about to say I could probably do a 16:10. Maybe I'd be happy with that. Like,
yeah,
to be honest.
Yeah, the difference is
that's the funny thing is
run 15:59 right now, but you could run 16:30 after doing a set of burpees.
It's true.
You know.
Well, the difference too, I think, is like, yeah, you can go run like Kurt DeWitt can run a 4-minute mile, but I'll smash him. Yeah, I'll smash him on the mountains. Not a 4 flat, but you can run like a 450 something.
No, he could run 4:25 right now.
4:25.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like a 4-minute mile, not like 4 flat, but like in the fours.
Hey,
but when you hit the mountains, a 4-minute mile means nothing. Like you're gonna get
Is it
hammered.
normal to see a body the size of like Hunter or Kirk running at 420?
There are outliers in this world, and very few do that. No.
Okay.
No. Yeah, no.
I was the largest middle distance runner I saw in college, and at the time I weighed 167 in competition, and I was 10 pounds bigger than most people I raced.
I think there's guys that can do it. They just don't know it, and they don't want to do it, or they're never tested to do it. Yeah. They just want to lift, or they just want to play football, or just want to do their thing. It's like, look at
every 10 pounds.
Look at Rhea. She was a gymnastist forever, you know, and then she's like, oh, I can run. Like Spartan has done that to so many athletes. Yeah, it's like he used to be a soccer player. So I think a lot of people really find out what they can do through Spartan and through OCR. Yeah.
People forget this, but Ryan Atkins, John Albon did not grow up as runners.
No, like he's a mountain biking, and I don't
know. Mountain biking, Albon did everything. He did skiing and cycling, and he did some running, but talent shows through. Talent is talent, and there's no one.
That's true. And hard work. I mean, it's a balance of both, and those guys do work hard. So
they do. Sure. Okay. Well, I know you got to get packing and everything, but before we leave, 2 things. First of all, I know you have a bunch of people that support what you do. So, anyone you want to shout out on here?
Yeah, I mean, obviously my first official sponsor now, Johnny's on the team with Alyssa and Ray and I, Ascent Protein. They've been I wouldn't have been able to do this full time without them, so that's been a real blessing that they've held me on as long as they have. And geez, now I feel like a NASCAR driver in some aspects. I mean, I've always been using Tailwind Nutrition, lock laces, and I think that's what's unique about me is I had, a lot of companies, a lot of products that I'm loyal to, and they knew that before I even started doing OCR, because I'd use them for Best Ranger or for triathlon or for the military. And then, once you get the social media following, it makes sense for them marketing wise to actually support you, and because you believe in their sport or in their product. So it's like, if someone asked me about something, like I've got years of background. It's not like, hey, here's money, will you work with us? I'm like, no, I like to be with companies that I've are tried and true. So yeah. And then I'm excited to see what transpires. I just picked up a new sponsorship from ATP Science, and if you guys haven't listened to their podcast, not to drop a podcast on your podcast, but they like gut health and overall nutrition science. They have like some Australian guys. They're going to be in Tahoe as well, that just have a wealth of knowledge that's really opened my eyes.
Who is it? What's
And
the podcast name?
it's ATP Science.
Oh, okay, cool.
They've just listened to some of their nutrition stuff, man. They just really, especially about gut health, like just how your body specifically responds. And I mean, your intestines are your longest, massive, pretty much organ in your body. Like, they can, I think it's like 400 yards or something when they're stretched out. It's ridiculous. But like, there's a lot of stuff that can go on in there that can alter your mood, your training, your digestive. I mean, even for like running, obviously you want to have like, proper stools and stuff. But yeah, just give them a listen. It's been a kind of eye opening, and that's kind of what's cool about Spartan and their pursuit of, getting companies and even CBD. Like, I've never used CBD products, and now I'm using Pure Power to help me sleep, because one of the things I was talking about today on another article with Mud Run Guide was anxiety, because I had talked to Cody last year, because he was suffering. I couldn't go into a race without, I'd wake up in the middle of the night, like 160 heart rate, like I'm going through the race in my dreams. Like I'm that like anxious about it, because there's expectations not only from yourself, but your sponsors, from your fans, and you feel the need to meet those, like down to like a really deep level. And there's just stuff like that to help calm you down a little bit, help get you back kind of focused.
So using that CBD product, we talked about this on the last episode. We were trying to figure out how, like, for example, this podcast is sponsored by a CBD company, and Brakken himself is, he won't take the oil because even though we have a THC or a CBD isolate with no THC in it, the fine-tuned guidelines of WADA is that all cannabinoids except for CBD, even in trace amounts, are not allowed for sport consumption. And the thing is, companies can't isolate. Like when they say CBD isolate, there's still tons of trace, if not way more than trace cannabinoids of all the other like 117.
THC. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
it depends on if they take it from hemp or they take it from marijuana. So like, I think, and I'm not an expert at it, but I think that's one of the differences as well. And there's no specific way to test for, I think, CBD, just THC. And it's in such a low quantity, like 0.001% or something like that. But honestly, like I feel more of a difference in just my sleep, not really athletic performance. So I don't know why WADA would ban it specifically, because I don't think it enhances your performance by any means. But I think it's just because if you smoke marijuana, if you do cocaine, they're just abiding by federal law.
Yeah, and they didn't ban it. They just never unbanned it entirely.
Right. And it's like that in each state. Each state has different laws and stuff too. So I don't know. I mean, if something happens to me, I'll take full responsibility for it. I'm not going to hide it. Like I take Power Down to go to sleep, and it helps me sleep at night. So
it might be worth it to just because the guidelines are so all over the place right now, to just take. I think if you just go to like I've never used one, but like a smoke shop or something, they just have a little cleanse that you drink, and like it eliminates all kind of. I don't really know. I haven't
False. There's no such thing.
No, I've actually taken military drug tests, blood and urine, and I've had no problems. Like I have to do one like almost every 6 months or so, and when I do physicals. So, and they do full drug tests, because I mean that's just part of the military. Anytime you go in for a physical or you have to take your analysis, they're obviously going to test your nutrition,
right? But
of course they're going to test for drugs too, because you're in the military.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I haven't really had any negative effects. But I mean, is it really that bad? Like, no, literally no disrespect at all to Hunter. That dude used to do like heroin and cocaine, and he's a freaking monster.
Right.
Like he admits it. Like I've talked to stories about him, but I mean, I, in a sense, kind of respect him for that, for like turning his life around. A lot of people talk smack about his, how kind of, I guess, he is on social media, and how he might be a little full of himself and stuff. But if you talk to him face to face, which I have, and we've done podcasts with him, like there's a certain level of knowing like where he came from and having a respect for how he's kind of like turned his life around. You know, he could be still, you know, doing that, or even worse, in jail or something, or, you know, just like a bum, but he changed his life. So more power to him.
Mm-hmm. All right, man. So take yourself out of it. Obviously you're going there to win. If you weren't there at Worlds this year, if you broke your leg the day before the race, and I'm trying not to incept anything here, who wins?
No.
Who do you got?
I wish I still gotta say Albon. I wish I could see him race more this season, because I really don't know where he's at. But he won the trail running world championships. Well, it's kind of like a spin-off of trail. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's like saying he won Tough Mudder world championships, but it's not Spartan World Champion. You know, it's another version of it's like a brand of trail running, I guess. But he won that world championship event this year, so clearly he's in really good running shape. But I think, you know, even though he says he doesn't run at altitude, I think all the sky races are pretty much.
He doesn't train at it, but he races at it.
Yeah, so he kind of he's gotten used to Tahoe, but it is a hard feat to come from Europe, like, and go, you know, into a race.
Travel is a killer.
So I don't know. I mean, like I said, Luna Lima, man, that bar trail race, that's when I was like, wow, where did this dude come from? Because
he has a skill that's sharp as anyone in the world has. He runs downhill differently than anyone I've ever seen.
No, he does. He tapes his ankles. A lot of people don't know. Like, he tapes them really tight, and he puts calf link socks over so you can't see the tape job. But I think that allows him to just be more reckless, because he doesn't have to worry about breaking his ankles. Because literally, I felt like when I was descending next to him for all of like 10 seconds, I was going to break every bone in my body. Yeah. I was like,
his hips and glutes and quads are just, there's something different about them.
Yeah, they're made for descending.
I can't wait to see people descending with each other in this race.
Oh, that's gonna be especially if it's snowy and slippery.
That'll be
that's what I'm kind of more eager to see, is what the weather is going to inflict, because that, in my opinion, is always the biggest obstacle: weather and terrain.
The one thing about Johnny, the one thing about him is that he is mortal without downhills. We saw it in Alabama and Jacksonville. He was 8th.
I crushed him. Yeah, I was doing it, and I was like, I wasn't really worried about him. And
but if you give him the ability to climb and run downhill,
he can make up 5 minutes on you. Special. Like, literally, I did the math, and he was a minute faster per mile than me. And the course, so the race was 12 miles, so he was only 20 seconds faster on the way up, but he was 5 minutes faster than me on that. So 1 minute per mile.
Yep.
And I was bombing. I had a 3-minute PR on the downhill. And I was just like, dude, I haven't even come close to those times after that.
The way that that any one of us would attack like a 200-meter downhill in the middle of a race is the way he can attack all downhills. He has some like crazy elasticity. I'm sure you rewatch the races. He jumps off A-frame. He jumps off everything differently than everyone else, and he just kind of like lands and boings on down the mountain. I've never seen it.
He's 23, man. He's got that mojo. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, cool. Hopefully I didn't offend anybody. And no, I appreciate you guys having me on, and for all my sponsors, appreciate it. And see you guys in Tahoe. I'm excited.
Yeah, out there. Yeah, stay away from hot tubs.
Good luck.
Oh yeah, no hot tubs. I'm doing right with Harley Davidson, actually, so that'd be pretty fun.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right. See you, man.
All right. Take care. Yep.
Visit ObstacleDominator.com for show notes, training, and racing resources. And leave your question for Beni and Brakken.